Assalamu alaikum and good day. Welcome back to the Money Counsel. We're doing another episode and we'll be looking at the local and global context from an investment point of view and just doing an investment update with our guest in the studio, Mahir Jakut. He is the investment analyst or an investment analyst at the Old Mutual Investment Group and managing portions of the Old Mutual Al Barakah Sharia funds, equity and balance. Welcome back to the studio, Mahir. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Assalamu alaikum to you, Adnan, and assalamu alaikum to the viewers.
So Mahir, there's been a couple of things that's been happening on a local perspective in South Africa. And one of the aspects is that we technically have been in a recession for the past 3 quarters, being beginning of 2018
Yes.
to end of September.
Yes.
And perhaps if we start there, I mean, yeah, so we are experiencing this negative growth and
Yes.
pessimism in the market, etc., from a
Yes.
political and economic point of view.
Yes, Adnan. Look, the economy has been weak, and the theoretical term is, like you've mentioned, is the technical recession.
Yes.
Right? It's where we have actually 2 quarters of negative growth. So besides 2017, I mean, just looking at 2018, this is really due to a lag defect. We've been under Zuma's control really for the past 10 years, and you'll see that coming through. You know, the GDP numbers, if we just look at within the pie, what actually affected these numbers? And one was agriculture, and the biggest part of that was maize crop production. Okay, there was mining and mining manufacturing was negative,
Yes.
and services were not negative but weak.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that is really why the economy is been weak. But I mean, a couple of weeks ago there was the stimulus package that we can perhaps touch on, and we can also perhaps touch on what economists out there are saying.
Yes.
You know, what do we need to do to be in a better South Africa?
Just coming back to your point earlier where you mentioned the 3 sectors, mining, agriculture and services, and I would assume retail falls in that category as
Absolutely.
well. I mean, as a legacy, South Africa, there's 2 things that we do really well is, you know, plant things on top of the earth.
Yes.
And dig a hole in the ground and extract the minerals. And obviously, if those sectors are not doing well,
Yeah.
our economy is affected drastically.
Yes. So
And also, we've been suffering drought in the Western Cape.
yeah. So look, we also saw that the inflation numbers came out,
Yes.
which was weaker than expected. It was 4.9. We were expecting 5.2. Now, just to understand inflation and in terms of a confidence point of view, because really what we need to drive is consumer confidence, you and I,
Yes.
you know, that we need to spend, right? And if we're not confident in the economy that we are doing business in or working in, we're going to look for the necessities, but we're not really going to spend on the
Luxuries, yeah.
on the TVs or the new washing machine or something
Yes.
like that. So that's from a consumer point of view, and then from a business point of view, you know, this really affects the production line, because if you and I are not buying, the businesses, why should they invest? Why should they invest in another plant, another
Yes.
distribution center,
Yes.
when the demand is not there?
Yes.
Right? So, and this all broadens the tax base, right? And then the foreign investor, he's looking at the ratings. What are they saying? They've also bucketed us in what you call an EM, an emerging market bucket,
Yes.
right? And then there's a contagious effect there,
Yes.
where you see what's happening to Turkey, which is also an emerging market player. And, you know, so they're like, oh, that might happen to South Africa,
Yes.
right? So this is all what Cyril Ramaphosa is really trying, and his team are trying to get right. I spoke about the inflation rates that were was slightly lower than expected. So just to put an example to that, if we take a bag of potatoes and it's 100 rand, and you say, wow, but that's expensive. Okay, fair enough, it could be expensive, and the inflation doesn't come through. So next year, what happens is that same bag of potatoes is still 100 rand. Yes, it might well still be expensive, but the year-on-year growth is zero.
Yes.
And that dampens the retailers' profits as well. The interest rates, the South African Reserve Bank decided to keep that stable. Now remember, from the foreign investor, they're looking in. What is that organization doing? Or what is that team doing as the South African Reserve Bank, that governs the country's policy? What are they doing really to fix this rating? So they're going to talk tough, right? And they say that they're going to keep the rates the same, but they expect perhaps in the new year 25 basis points hike, and that's really tough talk. I think I don't really think that's going to happen. So what are the economists and various economists that I listen to, what do they want, right? So they were talking about the employment plan, right? And what is the employment plan going to do? It's going to grow the tax base, right? They want to root out corruption. I mean, that's a given, right? They want to reduce the red tape of doing business. Right? Someone even mentioned that they must limit the cabinet size, and then the blue light brigade. If we can perhaps, if you want that blue light brigade, purchase cars from a local manufacturer. Instead
so
of
you're referring to the ministry staff.
Absolutely.
I mean, these flashy vehicles they drive around.
The flashy Mercedes and BMWs
on the national boulevards.
Yes. Yeah, and then and a lot of people want. I know in our mutual investment group, our economists, they want policy certainty, the mining charter, the housing, and but what they also want to do is they want the president to stick to the budget, right? Because that builds trust. If he's a man of action and the budget is there, then don't change it, stick within the budget, and then it's like, what I say I'm going to do, I do.
Of course.
And that builds confidence.
It's the accountability that's attached to it. I mean, whatever you've put forward as a policy or an objective or a business strategy is now following through, and there's accountability at the end, because then you're measuring, you're able to measure the outcome.
Absolutely. So I think we can perhaps touch on the stimulus package, which was obviously a hot topic at the time. The president came out to say that there's going to be a big export focus. So he's gonna focus on transport, the rails and the ports, which is very important. And when immediately it's the markets are amazing. When the president stood up there and actually addressed the nation, the rand suddenly strengthened. So it's that type of confidence that he wants to.
One of the objectives is to create employment or job creation. Your public transport needs to be efficient, it needs to be safe, it needs to be on time.
Absolutely. So what he also mentioned is that he's going to bring in the private sector, but as a partnership. So that the delivery from government can be quicker. Right? So he's focusing on education, and I think the number's 2,000, but he said 2,000 medical posts that were not filled will be filled immediately.
So improving our healthcare facility or resources. Absolutely,
and he's going to focus on basic education and sanitation in the poorer areas. Right? Now that's very important, and he said he was surprised at the support of the private sector. Right? Now Adnan, we know if to do research and to look at what other economies, why they're thriving, right? There are two important things. One is education, and basic education, because there's a stat that 75% of grade 5 learners can't read, right?
It's staggering.
Absolutely. So focus on the basic education,
Yes.
and and it will filter through.
You mentioning, I mean, the fact that they now wanting the private sector, to be in partnership with the public sector.
Yes.
And if we look at the private sector in terms of education, the private education space, and the leaps and bounds that they are making, companies like Curo, etc.
Absolutely.
I mean, what's your view on that?
Yeah. So I think it all starts with education, right? So the youth program that he started, where if a person of color has a degree, you can go onto a list, and then for those companies that need that skill, can identify that on the list, and they can pull the individual in.
Okay.
Which is great, not just for the BEE,
Yes.
but also for development of that individual.
Yes, of
Right.
course.
So these are great initiatives, and you can see that it's initiatives coming from a businessman.
Yes.
And but I mentioned that there were two things, and the one was education, and the other one was healthcare. So there's a big drive also to fix up our healthcare.
Yes.
Right. And then I think we're going to see definitely a better South Africa.
So I mean, in the context of all of these policies or package items that he's mentioned a couple of weeks back, the positive thing that you take out of that as just an ordinary South African is that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we can also think that if President Zuma had to still continue in his presidency and the Eskom deal had to come through, what it meant on our debt levels as an economy, etc.
Yes.
So we're definitely in a better position.
Yes.
But there's still leaps and bounds to be made into the future.
Yes, absolutely. You make a good point. And then in all of this, we must also understand that there is an election coming up.
Yes.
Right. So I think he's cognizant of that fact.
Yes.
Right. And that so he will do the planning.
Yes.
And perhaps the quick wins. And then post the election, some serious decisions will be made.
Yes.
Of
course.
Yeah, because he did say that his implementation team will implement and deliver on time within budget.
On that note, Meyer, we'll just go for an ad break and we'll continue on the update from a local and offshore point of view.